I love art. Art is expression. Art is freedom. Art is saying what you want to say, making a message, having fun, and just making something that genuinely came from you. And without art, where are we? You know? Just AI slop or something? Or was it just, I don't know, just blandness? I don't know what we do without it. Truly, the earth without art is just Hello, dear viewer. I am Ether, and welcome to the Abyss. So I made this video to create, to learn, motivate myself, motivate myself to learn. I decided I would make a roller derby gal. So I found some posing references on Pinterest and made some sketches on what poses I'd like to try, messing around with what I wanted to convey. Ultimately, I wanted to make a figure where the character was getting ready for a match. After making sketches, I decided to take the sketches to Krita, which is a fantastic open source art program for anyone who be drawn and artistic on a budget. And I started with making my flat colors, also adjusting the outfit as needed. In my process, I tend to adjust and readjust a lot. I'm still getting used to digital drawing versus traditional. Traditional art holds a very special place in my heart, and even though I went to film school and learned more about digital art, I didn't quite warm up to it. It took some time, and I'm glad that I'm getting the opportunity now to get better at it. I used my own skates and protective gear to help me improve on the look of the skates and the pads. I used lots of reference images the best I could, because little known secret for anybody who didn't know, all the best artists use references. You gotta use a good reference if you want to really improve your skill. And over time, you get better at drawing from your head. And that is by no means saying that I'm one of the best. Clearly, I have a lot to learn. I'm just saying. Oh my god, I just knocked my stand. I'm just saying, if you want to get better, it's good to have a reference. So for those who are not as well acquainted with roller derby, I'm going to go ahead and describe some of the rules. So to put it simply, roller derby is a team sport where one skater, the jammer, speeds around the track, earning points one lap at a time. And while the jammer is earning points, their teammates are blocking the opposing teams, hence those team members being called blockers. This prevents the jammers from the opposite team from getting trapped by the opposing team. So the team that earns the most points by the end of the game are the winners. Now there's much more to learn about this sport, and maybe I didn't describe it so well. But if you're interested at all, definitely look it up. If your city has matches, go and support. And I gotta say, it's a lot of fun. I went to one of my first derbies last year. And these women are so strong and graceful and have so much passion, and it's truly just a fun time. I would definitely recommend going with some friends. Perfect time to give a shout out to my local team, who's called the Dockyard Derby Dames. I haven't gotten a chance to see them yet, at least this year, but I'm hoping to go and support them soon. So you can't make a character without thinking about the backstory and the world they live in. Or at least that's part of the fun for me. And so since world building is hard, I decided to base this character in a world that I'm already familiar with. Enter manga. Thank you, manga, and thank you, comic industry. What would we do without you? So, the manga that I have been reading that I want to base this character in the world of is called Star Strike It Rich. It's a manga introduced to me by one of my dear friends. I love the art, I like how unabashedly wily the characters are. I love that it's centered around women in the underground MMA world, and doesn't hold tropes of a typical sports fighting manga. Yeah, there's a lot of sideline commentary, there's one fighter who has a pretty obvious stereotype put upon them, and it does sexualize its characters a little bit, not all of them, but a little bit. And it also doesn't undersell just how badass these women are. I also like that these characters often are morally gray, and that suits the story, really. It suits a story that, in a seedy underground fighting ring, there would not be like totally heroic characters. Another thing that I appreciate about this story is how the female fighters are portrayed. Like I mentioned before, they're not overly sexualized. These are legitimate athletes, and living in a world where there's a very, very narrow idea of what being a beautiful feminine woman is, it's really freaking cool to see strong women who are physically shown to be very muscular. Like the strong women in the story are just as pretty, in my opinion, as the women who are drawn a little bit more dainty without as much muscle. And I think that's really cool for me. The point of, one of the underlying points of a combat sport story is that you're seeing what all different kinds of body types are capable of, which, me being a plus size person, even though I don't always get the representation I want of active plus size people, it's really cool to see the body diversity, and I like that. And I also want to include that in my character. I also had to adjust the color of her uniform halfway through because I just wasn't feeling the black. And black and pink is iconic. I love that color palette. I just it wasn't working for me. Had to switch it up. And one of the benefits of using this palette is one I enjoy when I see in life dark-skinned women or brown-skinned women in very vibrant colors. I think it's beautiful. And it's not that it doesn't look beautiful on any other kind of woman or person. Promoting the love of BIPOC and Black women. Yes. And secondly, in order to have a lot more fun with my shadows, I enjoy doing more colorful shadows, which is a practice pretty commonly done with a lot of artists anyway. So this was just a way of adding to that portion and making the color space, if you will, dynamic. As an aside, or a little asterisk note, I'd also like to gab a little bit about what got me into roller derby. So, I am familiar with just roller skating for fun because my mom was a big roller skater. She grew up all about that. And, there was also obviously other things too. Like, I really loved the movie Roll Bounce and I really liked ATL. There was a lot of style and finesse and freedom to the way skaters moved. And I always thought it was a very smooth, cool sport. And then I watched this movie. I watched this movie called Whip It. And that kind of opened up the skating world to me in a whole new way. Hence, me becoming a lot more fascinated with skating. That being said, I don't necessarily have the grace of, well, I don't have any grace on wheels, really. Not very much. I struggled like a gazelle for a little while, a newborn gazelle, newborn deer. Call me Bambi if you must, but I was not adept at it. Not only was I not adept at it, I really ate dirt a lot. Gave myself road rash. Story for another time. However, I still tried, still enjoyed it, and I've gotten a lot better since those years of being wobbly-legged. I also find that I quite enjoy the Afro-punk aesthetic because that's not often touched on, and it's really fun. And to anybody who does not know or has preconceived notions, Black people can be punk and still enjoy punk music and be in that genre and that subculture. And I love seeing us explore things and do things a little different than expected because no group of people is a monolith. And if you have the chance to check out some really cool Afro-punk aesthetics, I would say go for it. Specifically for anybody who would like some references, I think a really good way to also explore the history of Black and BIPOC punk exploration, I would check out the book Black Punk Now. It's an anthology series talking all about being a woman, a man, non-binary, person of color, Black person, queer person, in alternative spaces. So, as far as developing the rest of the character, there is a question that needs to be asked. In a world that is based on female fighters, what do they have to do with a roller derby chick anyway, and why would she be getting involved in that kind of seedy underground world to begin with? Admittingly, I have limited writing experience, so I'm gonna answer that question in the most simple way that I can. The Valkyria League in the story of Star Strike Rich has a pretty growing audience. They just keep growing, right? That's also the point of the story, is that they're trying to get this underground league to be prosperous. So I'm gonna say that this character is a fan, and I think she stumbled across it because she was just looking for fun new things to do. Part of the development I think would work for this character would be she is a BIPOC woman in a very homogenous country. I imagine that she works very hard and doesn't get a lot of opportunity to make friends outside of work. So that's exactly why she goes and seeks all these alternative events and places. And I think that in a very similar way that these kinds of stories inspire me to be physically active, I would see her being like, oh, I want to take my athleticism a little more seriously. I want to take my roller skating a bit more seriously. And it would be fun if she found a fighter to build a bond with, and maybe she would help them do some supplementary training while also learning how to be more safe and active in her body. And in terms of making eccentricities, because it's fun to add Achilles heels and character flaws into a character in general, also to match the vibe of the story, because there's a lot of unhinged characters in this world of Star Strike Rich. I would say that her flaw could be maybe like a love freak. I believe in Japanese they would call it yandere to some extent. I don't I'm not sure how far I want to take that in terms of a concept, because stalking is icky, and forcing someone to love you is icky. I mean, it is interesting. Maybe it'd be more like instead of a yandere, maybe more like a Harley Quinn kind of vibe, where she falls in love with people very quickly and just becomes like the type of person who'd be like, I would do anything to protect my person of interest. Like, I will become a ride or die. And I think that could be kind of fun because there is, again, a lot of seedy fucked up shit that happens in the story. Just kind of having fun throwing stuff against the wall. Also, is that not extremely sapphic to have a woman falling in love with another woman almost immediately? Like, I mean, come on, you hauling is the thing. But all jokes aside, having fun with it. So, as much as I love the cute little outfits from Whippet, I did realize that in real life, there's a lot more practicality to the uniforms that derby rollers wear. And maybe next time I draw this character, I'll have more fun with it, where I'll have her rocking a cute little alternative outfit or something. So here it is. I do jump around, like I mentioned before, so I'm hoping with the continuation of doing these little side videos that my workflow gets a little more streamlined. I wanted to give them like bruises and like band-aids and things because, roller derby is a sport, so of course it gets scuffed up from time to time. Felt like it added to the character just right. I made more outfit alternatives for this character. Thank you for being here if you made it through my video, and little by little you're building yourself, so do so with care, take your time, give yourself grace, and may all the kindness you put forth come back to you abundantly. Thank you for joining me in the abyss. Until next time.